Hi there, this is Roxy Miller with a tip for your voice. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to find their own voice, how to find their own sound, figure out what they sound like, and will tell me that they often feel like they can very, very easily match the exact same tone and voice of the singers on the album but not find their own voice. So the first thing that I have to say to you is that in your ability to duplicate other people's voices is one of the biggest tools you have for sounding like yourself, and I'll tell you why. If you sing a Beyonce song but put an Adele run in it, or if you sing an Alicia Keys song but a Beyonce growl in it, it now sounds like a unique version of the song. And many of the people that I work with don't realize that. They feel as though they have to sing the song that they hear exactly like the artist that they've heard. And the thing is that duplicating other people is the reason that you're going to be able to find your own unique sound. Doing something that somebody else does and you have difficulty doing that thing, you normally will slightly adapt that thing to sound more like what your voice does naturally. And sometimes the people that I work with are upset with themselves because they can't sound like the artist. However, your answer is right in front of you. Normally, if you can't go to that high G on that run that person is doing, or you can't belt as high as that person is singing in the song, you'll lower it slightly. And maybe because it's slightly off of pitch, you think that you sound terrible. When what's really happening is that you should be singing it a little bit longer and spending a little bit more time in figuring out where exactly it lies to be on key with your voice. And maybe some kind of cool little run will happen there, or maybe your voice will just do something really, really beautifully if you keep at it. I will say that in this culture in America, I've noticed that people give up pretty easily. And normally kind of it's like the grass is always greener on the other side. Meaning that you basically are giving up right before you're about to figure it out. And now, if you've been working at something and instead of you getting to the place where you wanted to get to with your voice, it ended up going really, really south, or somebody made fun of you, or you kind of found that something bad happened because you were working too hard at trying to accomplish something, then you can get this idea that maybe trying to do that is a bad thing. However, when you're trying to discover yourself, the really big rule would be that don't let anything that anybody else says come into context with what you're trying to accomplish, because they don't know what you're trying to achieve. Unless they understand the ideal scene of what you're going for, it's very, very hard for their idea of what you're trying to accomplish to be anything that means anything to you at all. It's okay to get feedback from another person, but it's important to look at that and see if you actually agree with it. Because sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's not helpful. Sometimes the criticism is actually going to make you a little bit better because it's something you didn't notice. And sometimes it just makes you feel worse. And if the thing the person says makes you feel worse, maybe don't take it in as a gospel. I say that and I'm going to wrap this around because normally if you're having trouble sounding like yourself or finding your own sound, you're probably just scared of what your sound sounds like. If you think of any famous person out there, I don't care if it's Beyonce, if it's Jay-Z, if it's a rapper, if it's a singer, if it's Celine Dion, if it's an opera singer, those people sound the way that they do because they sound like nobody else. And that means that the things that they were doing when they were figuring out their voice were nothing like anybody else sounds. Every time that you sound nothing like the person, you go down on yourself and you literally will never get to the point where they were. And if you think every time you sing something it's supposed to come out sounding perfect, again, you will never get where they are because nothing that you do the first or second time is perfect. But it's the self-discovery is different than performing. Practicing is different than performing, okay? So I guess the number one thing would be don't worry about using your duplication of somebody else in another situation to figure out what you sound like. Number two is every single time that you do something, it's not going to come out sounding perfect, but maybe on the other side, if you keep working at it, it will. okay? If you have any questions for me, I work with lots of singers. I call myself a voice rehabilitator. That's because most of the stuff that I find in a person's voice, it's not something that I'm creating by far. It's what's already inside them. Sometimes it just needs to be brought out. And if you do need help with that, if you feel like there's more, or that your voice doesn't sound the way that you want it to when it comes out of your mouth, that's kind of what I specialize in, finding that thing inside of you that you know is there and bringing it out. And if you're not quite there, you take some more time and start some development and understanding. And when you're ready, reach out, because we don't make great things happen by ourselves normally. It takes a team, it takes lots of work. It's important to bring those people around you that are going to construct you and build you up and not tear you down, okay? So I will see you next time with my next video, and thank you so much for watching.